It's a hybrid, it's a 7-seater, it's an SUV, and it's even got boxy styling. This Hyundai Santa Fe gives Australian buyers a lot of those things that we seem to really want. But now, with the XRT pack, we've also got an off-roader. Now that's another thing that people love as well. But is it any good? Does it actually work off-road? And does it compromise what this Santa Fe is? Let's go for a drive. There's a few exterior details like this stone shield on the front. You've also got some windshields down the side there, but the main thing about this XRT pack is no doubt the wheel and tyre package. So you've got Pirelli Scorpion all-terrain tyres. They are clearly a much better off-road tyre in terms of grip, but they're also mounted onto a 17-inch wheel. So instead of something like an 18-inch or a 20-inch wheel that you often see on SUVs like this, you've got more tyre to wheel ratio effectively, and that is better for off-roading. You can air down better. This thing will be a lot more durable for going on rough tracks and that sort of thing. Now behind this wheel, we've also got some different suspension components for the XRT pack, different dampers as well. So we'll see what this thing is like to drive on-road and off-road. But you've got effectively a 30mm lift in terms of clearance. But as you can see, it's still not a massive lifted vehicle. You've got side steps there. Do you really need them? Maybe not to get in and out. This isn't exactly a massive rig off-road, but in terms of storage, you do get a roof rack with this XRT, which is good news. This is a big SUV, but if you're going to go off-road and camping and that sort of thing, let me tell you, storage space is very important. So things like swags and tents can go up on top here and save a lot of space on the inside. But speaking of the inside, let's see what this Santa Fe is like. Being a top-spec calligraphy model, this Santa Fe has plenty of standard equipment. There's heated and vented front seats with electric adjustment and driver's position memory, a digital rear view mirror and a head-up display. Seats also get an upgraded Napa leather trim, and there's even a trick UVC sterilization feature in one of those glove boxes. Priced at $75,000 plus on-road costs, the XRT Peak Pack throws another $9,990 on top. So you've got a fairly hefty asking price here of just under 85 grand before on-road costs. Now, what does that XRT pack include? You've got different wheels and off-road tires, a roof rack, side steps, underbody protection, and there's a stone shield on the bonnet along with wind deflectors on the doors. We've got hybrid power in this Santa Fe, which combines a 1.6-litre turbocharged petrol engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. Now, there is a transmission-mounted electric motor and combined total outputs of 172 kilowatts and 367 newton meters. Claimed fuel economy for a Santa Fe hybrid is a very miserly 5.6 litres per 100 Ks, but it's worth pointing out that the addition of all-terrain tyres and a roof rack would knock this economy around a little bit. There's a lot to like about the interior of this Santa Fe. Firstly, from a looks and aesthetics point of view, I reckon this interior looks fantastic. Now, we are in the calligraphy spec effectively, so this is top spec. You are paying for a lot of the nice materials and finishes that we have here, but I have to say it does look. You've got this wood grain looking trim here, you've got nice leathers, different colors around the place, but beyond that, you've also got some really good storage as well. So over in front of the passenger here, you've got a little glove box hidden in there, another little shelf hidden below this other glove box. So that's really good for storage. And then in the middle here, you've got 2 wireless charging pads, which just also doubles as storage really. If you're not going to put phones in here, you can just put other bits and bobs. 2 cup holders here, a pretty big center console. That's got another trick, which I'll show you a little bit later. And then we've got storage underneath in this floating console as well. So in terms of fitting all your bits and your bobs in, this is really well set up on that side of things. In terms of infotainment, we've got one big, long, curving display here. So that's got your infotainment and a digital cluster in front. This is a good setup here. We've had a good run with Hyundai's latest operating system here. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, digital radio, navigation, all of those things that you would expect. You've also got connected services, so you can do things on your phone, connected to your car, all of that sort of thing. And then further down here, you've got all of your air conditioning controls. So a good range of buttons. You've got a volume dial, you've got climate control dials. It all falls to hand quite easily. It's not buried within the infotainment display, which I do like. And of course, the seats, These are nice and comfortable. There's plenty of adjustment here. We've got heating and venting in this spec as well. This looks and feels like quite a premium offering overall, which is important because this isn't a cheap vehicle, especially when you add on that $10,000 XRT pack like we have here. But beside the price, I think this does wow in the important elements. Here's the second row of the Santa Fe, and first things first, let's talk about space. Now that's my driving position up front there. I'm around 1.8 meters tall, and as you can see, I've got loads of legroom on offer. That's really good. Headroom is good also, even though we do have a sunroof here. Now this seat is actually adjustable as well, which is important. So we do have sliding ability, and we've also got the ability to tilt a little bit further back if you want to get comfortable on those long trips, or you want to sit up for a bit more posture, whatever it might be. This second row does work really well for space and also flexibility. Now we've got cup holders in the doors here. We've got a bit of a storage slot here where the door handle is, and a sunshade for when you want to have a little bit of a nap during the day. And there's no air vents here, as you'll notice, in that regular spot because they are over here in the B pillar. So that all works well. Why are there no air vents here? Because you've actually got some pretty handy storage. So this center console, like I showed you before, also opens from the rear, so I can get into stuff there, but also there's another little slot lower down here, and that's actually all connected. So I can put stuff in here, I can grab it from the front. It's a really handy thing. And sometimes those in the back only really have cup holders for storage. So if you've got kids with devices and toys and snacks and whatnot on that long road trip, this could really come in handy because they've got a spot to put all of their bits and bobs. And of course, we've got pop down armrest in the middle here with two cup holders, a hard backed seat, which I think is handy, a little bit of storage there, and then two USB-C power outlets in the back of the seats. So this does work well from a visibility point of view, from a comfort point of view, and also from a practicality point of view. All right, I'm in the third row of this Santa Fe now, and for reference, I've moved this seat forward a little bit. I've slid it forward so my legs definitely aren't touching that driver's seat in front, but it's given me a little bit more space here. And well, my knees are touching a little bit on the front of the seat here. It's not too bad, I've got to say. For a third row, it's okay. I'm not hugely spacious. This isn't as good as something like a Kia Carnival or a big, larger SUV like a Hyundai Palisade, for example, but it's not too bad. I think kids would be quite happy in here, and adults on short trips, no worries. Now we do get cup holders here. We do get air vents with air conditioning controls and a USB point. So you're not missing out on features like that. And visibility, well, it's not too bad either. We are sitting down a little bit in comparison to this higher up second row, I think, but it's not too bad. And another thing to note here actually is the fact that we get two sets of ISOFIX points in the back here. So you've got good flexibility in terms of where you want to fit your child seats. We've got two sets of ISOFIX up front as well. There's 5 top tether points, so you can really adjust things as to where you need it in terms of what you need on the move. But one other thing I want to talk to you about is the amount of boot space that we've got when we are set up like this. So let's go and have a look. So while this boot opens, another thing to point out about this Santa Fe is that you do get a full-size spare there underneath. That's a proper Pirelli Scorpion all-terrain, which is good to see. Now, in terms of boot space, as a 7-seater, no, it's not massive, but at the same time, it's not too bad. You could fit a few school bags in the back here and that sort of thing, but I don't know if you're going to be going away as a family of 6 or 7 on the road, unless, of course, you make amazing use of that roof rack up top. But pop these down into 5-seat mode, and you've actually got a good amount of space here on offer. You can slide that second row back to stop things falling down, but I do really like this hardy material in the back here instead of having carpet, because I know from experience when you go camping or you're going to the beach or something like that, it's really hard to clean a car up afterwards if you're vacuuming the carpet for what seems like hours. This is much more durable and also much easier to clean, so that's good to see. Everything you know and love about the regular Santa Fe hybrid carries over with this XRT model. The modifications done to it doesn't really disrupt what makes this a fantastic choice as a family car. Around town, it's really well dialed in terms of good ride quality, good refinement, good bump absorption, and all of that sort of thing. Now, these tires, they're a bit more aggressive, but in saying that, they're not too bad. You might get a bit more noise on the highway and you'll probably get higher fuel consumption, but this being a well-sorted hybrid system, we're seeing around 8 litres per 100 Ks overall. So still, it's quite frugal considering the size of the car and the amount of gear you've got and all of that sort of thing. And this hybrid system is a good one. This is an area where Toyota has had such dominance for a long time, but I've got to say Hyundai have really caught up with this model. It's got a good amount of electric power, so it does coast quite often. It does turn this engine off as often as it can to save fuel, but importantly, when it kicks in, it does it in a way that you don't really notice from behind the wheel. So it's a smooth driving experience that's clean, that's quiet. There's really not much to dislike about this car, the way it behaves on road. It is really quite good. But we do, of course, have a bit of off-road capability baked into this XRT model. And if you're going to be buying it, I hope you're not just buying it for the looks. I hope you're actually buying this vehicle because you maybe want to do a little bit of adventuring off the road. So let's go and see how it performs in that kind of situation. 7-seat SUVs are all the rage at the moment. And if you're in the market for one, don't forget to check out Drive Marketplace to see what is on offer. All right, we're off-road in this Santa Fe, and it's worth pointing out straight off the bat that you shouldn't expect this car to be a real competitor to something like a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado or a Ford Everest. Just not built the same as a vehicle. I say it for a few reasons. Firstly, the clearance isn't there in the same way. The chassis and suspension setup is noticeably different, and that does make a difference off-road. But also the drive system. This is an all-wheel drive and it's not a four-wheel drive, and that's a very important distinction to make because one is not the same as the other. But in saying that, I've been pleasantly surprised, I think, by this Santa Fe. It does feel pretty good off-road, and to be honest, this will probably give you enough capability or more capability than you probably need for the kind of adventuring that you want to do. No, it's not going to take on the Simpson Desert. It might be a bit out of place up in Cape York, but for fire trails, a couple of muddy bogs, that sort of thing, a little bit of cross-axle stuff, it's not too bad. But in this testing that I've done, I've driven this into a couple of off-camber setups where the car starts to lift a wheel, and if you choose the right driving mode here, so if you press this button here and go down into terrain, you can pick snow. And then if you go into mud, that's probably the most aggressive mode. It's not too bad. There's a lot of wheel spin, and the car isn't particularly dignified in the way it goes about getting over obstacles, but it can do it. So choose your challenges judiciously, I think, in this car. Don't expect it to be crazy, but it's actually not too bad. The ride quality on roads like this is pretty good. It's got decent bump absorption capabilities here. You do need to slow down a little bit for holes and ruts because we don't have long travel suspension here or anything like that. And because we do have a shortage of ground clearance, you're just not going to be able to take on regular off-road tracks that you would with other four-wheel drives. So as long as you keep colouring in between the lines, so to speak, with this car, choose that terrain button, go into the mud mode because that keeps the engine running a little bit more instead of just being in pure hybrid. You've got 4-driven wheels. It's actually pretty good. And of course, because you've got these all-terrain tyres, you've got a lot more traction there, and you've got a bit more scope to air those tyres down if you want to go driving on a bit of sand, maybe not ultra soft, hot and dry sand, but a bit of sand, a bit of mud, wet grass and that sort of thing. This is much better set up than a regular SUV, but it doesn't throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of on-road characteristics, refinement, packaging and all those sorts of things. So this definitely has a nice little niche, I think, where it plays quite well. Now, you don't need the most tough and rugged off-roader to get out into the bush and enjoy a couple of Australia's more quieter sides, even though that's an idea that we all kind of love in our head. Now, this Santa Fe, no, it's not an extreme off-roader, but it is an improvement over what you normally get in Hyundai's large 7-seat SUV. But the beauty of this car is that it doesn't throw away what makes this car great otherwise. So you've got decent off-road ability, you've got good tires, you've got a bit of peace of mind with something like a full-size spare tire, but you've also got something that is well composed, refined, practical and spacious for the weekly usage as a family car. So this won't suit everyone. It's almost a bit of a niche offering, I think. And unfortunately, the price does start to really get up there when you add on calligraphy on top of the XRT pack. But this could be the perfect fit for a lot of families who want to go out into the bush, but not go completely crazy. Now, if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up and you're subscribed to our channel. And of course, if you want to see the full story on this Santa Fe Calligraphy XRT or any other new car on the Australian car market, head over to Drive.com.au. Now, it's not a hybrid like the Santa Fe, it's actually diesel powered, but if you want a more serious four-wheel drive for family usage, I reckon you should check out this video here. This is the latest Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. Stop there.